We have damaged the environment due to our carelessness. Humans have significantly affected Mother Nature, from overpopulation, climate change, deforestation, and burning of fossil fuels. These issues have negatively influenced a natural cycle vital to life here on Earth, the carbon cycle. Consequently, our actions have also caused the proliferation of invasive species which threatens our wildlife and our environment. Why is the carbon cycle essential to life? How do invasive species affect our environment? We must now take action against the threats of our environment before it's too late. We introduce to you Fauna, a key to mediating the effects of carbon cycling.
Invasive species. It refers to any type of organism, whether it would be an animal, plant, fungi, bacteria, and etc., that is not native to a given ecosystem or environment and has the ability to reproduce or spread, thus causing harm quickly. Such species hold the threat of preying on other species which are actually native to the environment, disrupting their food web or causing competition for food sources, thus putting the ecosystem at risk. Because of this risk, local communities and even governments take proper measure to ensure or more specifically, control the introduction and the spread of invasive species, exemplify the various risks they can hold towards the ecosystem and the health and well-being of the community.
There are a few types of atom that can be part of a plant one day, an animal the next day, and then travel downstream as part of a river's water the following day. These atoms can be a part of both living things and non-living things, which are then recycled over and over within the atmospheres of the Earth. This type of cycle of atom is known as a biogeochemical cycle, and the carbon cycle is a nature's way of recycling carbon atoms. Furthermore, these carbon atoms are mostly stored in reservoirs such as rocks and sediments, while the rest are in the ocean, atmosphere, and living organisms. Since our planet and its atmosphere form a closed environment, the amount of carbon in this system does not change. However, any change in the cycle that shifts carbon out of one reservoir puts more carbon in the other. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution about 150 years ago, humans have burned so much fuel and released so much carbon dioxide into the air that global climate has risen. It is also evident that the recent increase in amounts of carbon dioxide is having a significant impact on the warming of our planet.
Hi, I am Francisco Villena and I am now going to discuss about the relationship of fauna to the carbon cycle. Fauna refers to all of the animal life that exists in a certain area or time period. Fauna is an important component of the ecology. So how does fauna affect the carbon cycle? Plants transport carbon from the atmosphere into the biosphere via photosynthesis in the food chain. They use solar energy to chemically mix carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and oxygen from water to form sugar molecules. Animals that consume plants digest the sugar molecules in order to obtain energy for their bodies. Carbon is obtained by animals through the consumption of food in the form of carbs and proteins. When animals breathe and exhale, the carbon mixes with oxygen to generate carbon dioxide, which is then released back into the atmosphere as a waste product. Respiration, excretion, and decomposition all return carbon to the atmosphere or soil, thereby completing the carbon cycle.
Good day, I'm Aisha Dagatan, and allow me to discuss the anthropogenic effects in relation to the topics discussed beforehand. Environmental stressors may include natural and human-induced impact. Anthropogenic effects cause tremendous effect on species, ecosystems, and biogeochemical processes. Human activity has a huge influence on the carbon cycle. Human activity threatens to disrupt the natural cycle of carbon, which is manifested in three ways. First is through the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere during the burning of fossil fuels. Second is the cutting of trees through deforestation. And third is the spread of invasive species. While the use of fossil fuels, changes in land use, and the use of limestone to manufacture concrete all emit considerable amounts of carbon. Through this, the ocean absorbs a large portion of carbon dioxide, which reduces the pH of the ocean, a process as known as ocean acidification. This in turn impairs marine creatures' capacity to create shells and skeletons. Deforestation generally destroys the habitat of animals and disrupts the mitigation of carbon cycle itself.
Epigenetics is the study of how human behavior and environment may influence your gene's function. The study of heritable phenotypic modifications that do not entail changes in DNA sequence is known as epigenetics. In connection with the carbon cycle, it means that carbon is moved through the atmosphere, biosphere, seas, and geosphere in the carbon cycle. Human actions such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and geologic sequestration have had an influence on the carbon cycle and buildup of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution about 150 years ago. Cutting down forests and over-harvesting plants result in reduced photosynthesis, which means less oxygen is released and less carbon dioxide is consumed. Human activity on the whole produces greater carbon emission. Human activities influence carbon cycle by releasing carbon dioxide and removing carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere or withdrawn from the atmosphere, it has an impact on the carbon cycle.
Everyone. To conclude our presentation, it was all about fauna, which is defined as the animals of a particular region, habitat, or geological period. We've also been discussing all about invasive species, which is related to fauna, which is the organisms that cause harm or economic or ecological harm in a new environment where it is not native. And we discuss its relationship to the carbon cycle due to the exchange of energy through photosynthesis and how the animals eat the plants that causes such translation of energy. And we've been discussing all about epigenetics, which is the study of how the behaviors in an environment can cause changes in how the genes work. So these are all correlated and important to the study of fauna, which is a way of mediating tools. Thank you.